Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew here, as always, with Venushan, and we're this is the first weekend of after a first real week of basketball of the new NBA season. We've had a lot of really good games. The Lakers game yesterday was crazy. Had a fight between Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, but seems like that's resolved. There's been a lot of cool things that happened this week. I don't know where to start. I guess we'll start with our team, the Toronto
Yeah,
Raptors. After a rough first game that was painful to watch, one of the best defensive games I've seen them play in a long time happened last night, and Scotty Barnes scored 25 points with 13 rebounds in a game that I didn't think he was going to have for at least halfway into his rookie season.
yeah, that's the Raptors Celtics game. Scotty Barnes just took over. He had like 25 and 13, but it was like he got the 25 from like putbacks, you know what I mean? Like cuts to the rim. He was getting nice playmaking involved. Like he was just showing that he was the best rookie of the class. Like that's how it felt watching him yesterday. And another thing to shout out, even though the Raptors did lose that first game, they did hold the Wizards to under 100 points. So that means their first game, 98 points, they got scored on them, and the second game, 83 points. So this whole being 6'9", having long defenders and having all this length is definitely helping out their defensive end. Uh, we were having some OG Anunoby struggles, but that is expected because this is the first time he has that whole like you're the guy potential like focus, like everyone's focusing in on him. But it's good to see the other guys step up and play to their potential.
Yeah, I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for OG. Like you could see in the first game, like he wanted to get to these shots that he's been working on over the offseason, like the step backs and the pull ups and stuff like that, and they just weren't going in. They're going to start going in. It looks like he's maybe a little bit out of rhythm, but the defense has been unreal. Even through the first two games, it's been really good. Like you said, like having all that length out there, we see even Kim Birch and Precious Achua switching out on the perimeter, doing a really good job. Gary Trent's gotten like a bunch of steals through the first two games, had a really good game offensively last game too. Yeah, so defensively it looks really good. The rebounding hasn't even been that bad. The offensive rebounding has been really good, especially
Yeah,
with Scotty Barnes. So like you said, a lot of the points he was getting were hustle points. He had a couple of nice, created
shots. Yeah, he
half
had a
court shots there too, but for the most part, just like out hustling everyone. And he was the standout player, even ahead of like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown in that game.
yeah. And I was listening to the Celtics commentary for some reason. I don't know why, but they're always like, I didn't know Scotty Barnes could shoot like that. And it was kind of true. Like he had some nice shots where it's like, oh man, like this guy can actually shoot like that. And it just shows that he's not a player like that's like a Ben Simmons who's like afraid to shoot. Like he will keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting until he gets better and better every single year. He'll put in the off season work. Like he's one of those type of players, and that's one of the reasons they drafted him, right? Because he knows he's shown that determination and like will to get better and be the best of him he can. And it's been great so far. He's averaging what like 18 and a half and like 11 boards. Like he's been doing great. Another kind of low point is Fred VanVleet. Even though Freddie's not having the greatest games, he's is like facilitating more. He's doing all that. His shots just not falling. His field goal percentage is at an all-time low. Let me check it up right now. I think his field goal percentage game one was 25% and game two was 30%. So he's clearly just not hitting shots. 5 for 20, 3 for 10, but he's getting 4 assists the first game, 9 assists the second game. He's doing great on the defensive end. 2 steals, 1 block, 3 steals, 1 block. So he's pitching in all around the court. He just can't get his shot to go down, and it will go down because even though he shot bad last year, like 39%, he still averaged 19.6, right? So like he is a scorer. He's not going to just be averaging 11.5. So that's going to get better. Another thing to point out is the lack of like a big center to just like help out defensive rebounds is hurting them. But as you pointed out, their mobile centers are really helping the offensive board because they're able to like chase those long forwards better, able to like go for those better. Another question is, do we start Birch now? Because Birch had an amazing game too compared to Precious, but you want to develop Precious, so there's always a toss up there. But man, the Raptors are looking good. They're looking exciting, and no one after these first two games could say the Raptors aren't going to be like a competitive team. I don't know what that means because sometimes you could be competitive and just get unlucky, miss the game winners like kind of last year, and you can still be in the bottom half of the thing, or those game winners start falling in, stuff start rolling in, you're in the top end or like, sixth spot, right? So it's gonna be a fun team. we're gonna watch a couple of their games. We're going to the Nets game and the Celtics game. So hopefully they have another performance like this against the Celtics where they go out and go get crazy wins. But man, we're excited for this team and how they do.
Yeah, and even last year, the amount of close games they lost, like a few of those
Crazy.
games, 10 of those games could have gone the other way. So
Yeah.
you could argue this team was competitive last year and hopefully going to be more this year. But um, another thing to point out is Goran Dragic started game one and the
Yeah.
offense looked horrible, and then Gary Trent Jr. started game two and it looked a lot better. Now, like, I'm not saying that's 100% the reason it happened, but
Yeah.
both of us have been advocates for Trent in the starting lineup because while Dragic is more of a play creator, creating shots
Yeah.
for other people, Gary Trent Jr. is a play finisher.
Yeah. And it's more important that we have Dragic on that bench more than it's like Gary starting because Dragic brings so much to the bench. He brings like a calming presence, which Fred has on the starting lineup. You know, he calms them down. He like, even though he's missing every shot, like he calms them down. He tells them like, yo, we have to run this play, we have to run that play. And even like Malachi Flynn's not really in the lineup. The Toronto Rexdale guy, Banton, he's not really in the lineup as well. So Dragic is our backup point guard slash shooting guard. Like he's gonna get a lot of those runs. So he just has to be a calming presence for when Freddie comes out of the game. And even while Freddie's in the game, you know, sometimes you can calm Freddie down, and that's that veteran experience. And having that off the bench is probably best suited. You know, Dragic was best off the bench. That's when he made that finals run where he was the leading scorer on that Heat. So he's used to that role. He's willing to, you know, sacrifice, get to that role. Another player that stood out for me in game two was Boucher. Like, just not even like his stats or anything, but like, you know, he'll have a block here and then a three there, and he'll just get like the energy going and stuff. So it's good to see him, you know, still having those energy plays, big plays, and because both Boucher and Dragic are going to be in trade rumors the whole this season till trade deadline because they're both on 1 year deals and a championship contending team could use them. So they're going to be in trade rumors, and those guys they're playing great right now. So hopefully they stick around.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said. Let's move on to another team. The Hawks have only played one game, but they defeated the Dallas Mavericks and they looked really good. It wasn't even Trae Young's A game. I think he only had 19 points. He had close to a
Yeah,
triple double, but
19 and 14 assists.
just how deep that team really is showed in that game, and they play again today, and they're going to be one of my most watched League Pass teams for sure this year.
Yeah, I have Cam Reddish on my fantasy, and he did exactly what I wanted him to do. He just came out and started shooting. Like he said, this is my second unit. Yeah, I know Kevin Herter got the bag. Yeah, I know Gallinari didn't play, but I know Gallinari has a decent bag and he's going to come back onto this bench. But this is my second unit. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to shoot the shots. And I'm going to be a lockdown defender too because, wow, Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter's defense on Luka, amazing. Because now Luka has DeAndre Hunter guarding him, and he's like, "Oh man, DeAndre comes out, I get a little rest." Nah, it's Cam Reddish in, and man, that defense was amazing. Uh, who else played really good? John Collins had a really solid game too, 16 and 9. He was getting, you know, his things in there. Clint Capella doing Clint Capella things, 12 points, 13 rebounds. He's just, you know, doing what he needs to do. And this is just a team game, you know, like Cam Reddish led them in scoring with 20. Trae Young had a crazy assist night with 19 points, 14 assists. Capella crashed the boards, got a couple dunks, 12 and 13. DeAndre Hunter hit a couple open shots, played great defense, 11 points, 3 rebounds. John Collins, you know, played like a second star, grabbed some rebounds, got some points, 16 and 9. And Herter, even though he didn't have the greatest shooting night, still 6 and 6, 6.6 rebounds. It's just a team. This is just a team. Doesn't even have an art, and like once they add all those guys, it's going to get better and better. So the Hawks is definitely going to be, as everyone expected, one of the top 4 seeds of the East.
Yeah, Gallinari, Lou Williams, and Onyeka Okongwu didn't even play that game,
Yeah.
and you saw how deep they looked. No one talks about the loss of Hunter and Reddish in the playoffs last year and how much that really affected them. Because we could be talking about the Hawks winning a championship if those two guys play the whole time.
Yeah, and it talks about like them improving too, right? Because the more experience they get, because they're so young, that the more experience they get, they improve. So like these guys are going to come in a lot better this year, and they're going to be a lot better at the end of this year than they are today. Like that's how much they're going to improve. Like that's how much second year, third year players improve, right? They improve throughout the season. They learn how to get better, get more comfortable with the system, get more comfortable with their role. get more comfortable with their shots and which shot they're comfortable making and comfortable missing. And they get a better, bigger confidence boost as their team wins more. They're like, hey, I'm a big part of this team that's, won 51 games. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an NBA player, and not only am I an NBA player, I'm an NBA, six man of the year contender for Cam Reddish, or for Hunter, he could be like, I'm an NBA elite defender. You know what I mean? Like, that confidence boost for them is just going to be very good coming into the next offseason. And we had to talk about how much John Collins improved as a defender, because I was talking about it, I was like, man, I hope John Collins keeps this playoff defense up for the regular season, because he tried like literally a million times more last playoffs than he does during the regular season. And I know it's only a 1 game sample, but he's trying to keep that defense up. He's trying to be a two-way player. He knows how important is that to win games, and he knows how important it is to get home court now, right? Because he's definitely going to try to be pushing for that home court, because they were on the road a lot, and he knows, man, if we're on home court, maybe we get a little more there, here. So he knows how important these games are, and he's pushing for that too. Man, this Hawks team is fun. It's living up all the expectations that we put on it, and not the mainstream media, but like people that actually watch it, living up to those expectations. Then I just hope to keep doing it.
Yeah, talk about the offensive talent of Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Bogdanovich, with defenders like if John Collins is defending, if
Yeah,
Cam Reddish and Hunter are defending with
Capella.
Capella,
Yeah,
Okongwu when he comes back, one of the most well-rounded and deep teams in the league. Not surprisingly, we knew this was going to happen. A team that is looking surprisingly deep through 2 games is the Golden State Warriors.
yeah,
Because Steph Curry did not have a good shooting night in the opening night against the Lakers. They won that game. They came back and won. And then he had an amazing game with the 45-point. He scored 45 points in their second game, and they also won that game.
yeah.
How are you feeling about this Warriors bench with Bielitsa and what's his name? Jordan
Porter.
Poole looking like a 6-man of the year candidate, Otto Porter, and just they haven't even gotten contributions from Kuminga and Moody too much yet either, and they're looking really, really deep.
Yeah, I think sadly for Jordan Poole, he's gonna have played too much games to get the 6 man. Like, he's gonna have started too much games, because I think Clay's coming December 26th-ish, 25-ish. So I think that by that time, Poole might have started too many games to contend for that 6-man award. But if he's eligible, he's definitely gonna win it, because he's playing amazing. Amazing game 1, all right, game 2, 9-4-4. But it's just like there was confidence that Curry is giving him, where like he made that statement, so like, you and me have to be able to hold each other accountable. For a young player, that's like a very big confidence boost. If Steph Curry is telling you to hold him accountable, right? Because they both missed on that open 3 on defense, where like they got, I guess, miscommunication on like a pick and roll stuff. So they're like telling each other like, yo, we have to hold each other accountable. Another player who's been playing great, Andrew Wiggins, Canadian. Second game, he played exactly what he had to do. He had 17 points, he had 6 rebounds, he had 3 assists. He was just chipping in everywhere. Draymond Green's playing great. The low end triple doubles, like always around that little range where he has like 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 10 points, like that. Kevon Looney started this Clippers game, did his thing, 6.7 rebounds. Bielitsa, as you said, he's just a shooter. He did amazing game 1. He did all right game 2. Iguodala's coming off the bench, providing solid minutes again. Otto Porter is giving like 20 minutes of solid play. Yeah, they're people that understand the flow of the offense now. Like, everyone just gets it now. Like, with Iguodala back, with Bielitsa in there, with John Tuscan Anderson, Moody's kind of understanding the offense too a little bit. Poole's been there for a while. Looney's been there for a while. Wiggins been there for a while now. Green, like everyone's been there for a while and they understand the offense. So not even like their talent increase or anything. It's just everyone understands the offense and everyone understands the role better. And that leads them to being 2-0. And Steph Curry is also playing like MVP. First game, you said he had a bad game, he had a triple double. So yeah, it was a bad shooting game, but he still chipped in. Everyone had a triple double. Second game, he had 45 points, also 10 rebounds. Like, he's averaging 10 rebounds for the year. Like, he's insane. He's definitely the MVP 2 games into the season. It's going to be fun to watch him. And everyone's just waiting for Clay to come back, because that's what's going to really push them to that next echelon of tier contenders.
Yeah, so Clay's coming back. That's one wild card. Through 2 games, they've looked good. Yeah, there's only 2 games, but Kuminga didn't play, Wiseman didn't play, and Moody played like 3 minutes.
4 minutes,
right?
yeah.
4 minutes, whatever. So if they if they continue to play like this, compete and look deep without contributions from those guys,
Yeah,
like those they might have the best trade package they can offer anyone in the league with
yeah,
these young assets having an already good team. Without them, they could go anywhere.
yeah. Because I'm gonna bring it up again. I always like this trade more than the Ben Simmons trade that people bring up, and I know there's no rumors about this. There's no nothing. I just like it on a paper thing, and that's getting the boy Christian Wood. I think he'll be a good center for them that can shoot a little bit, fit in. I think when you include Wiseman plus one of those guys in like Moody or Kaminga, I think that makes sense for the Rockets too, because they get those 22-year-olds who are the second pick and like seventh pick, right? So they got a lot of young guys too. So that's something I like. Yeah, if they get another guy like that who could just be a scorer and a defender at the center spot while not losing players that are playing right now and adding Clay, like that's definitely going to push them into that contention spot, with the Nets and with everyone else that could potentially win a championship again.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, the Warriors are going to be the team to watch for sure on the trade market. But right now, I'm just kind of enjoying Steph going off and having
Yeah.
44 point games and triple double. So I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Another team that is 2-0 is our second favorite team, the Denver Nuggets. I don't think anyone's surprised, or at least we're not surprised because we knew they were going to come out strong and we knew they were going to be a good team to start. Jokic put up a 32, 16, and 7
Monster.
against the Spurs. Uh, they're just looking deep. Michael Porter
Yeah.
Jr. not a great game yesterday, but another deep team that's going to make a lot of noise in the regular season.
Yeah, after the Raptors game, I tuned into the Nuggets game. I missed like the first quarter, but Jokic was just doing. He just seemed like it literally seemed like he was playing against some people like a tier below them, and I'm talking about his own teammates too. Like that's how good he was. He was just grabbing the ball, walking it out, right, backing someone down, getting it easy to, calling for it or getting it doubled, dishing it to like the corner, or he was just being off ball, and he was just driving in, and that caused someone else to sag back wide open three. He was just playing with the Spurs defense. You know what I mean? Like he was just pulling people in out, and even though he only got 6 assists, his like gravitational pull, like if you count that as an assist, like that definitely got like people a couple of easy buckets because they try to front him, right? So to prevent him buckets. So they bring doubles there, and that easy provides assists for everyone else. And man, it was great. That's why like Will Barton had 6 assists because he was just like finding those people. Either it was passing to Jokic or finding those people wide open. And I like this Jokic because he's like, hey man, my best scorer is not here, and that is Jamal Murray. So I have to up the scoring and I have to be more aggressive. And he's doing that, and he's showing that, and he's playing great. And I put him as the MVP candidate because he just undeniably good. Like even though he doesn't have a storyline, like he is second than Steph Curry. He's second for MVP 2 games in. Like he's that type of player where he's just so good. Where it's just like, yeah, screw the media. This is my award. Like I'm just that guy. I'm that good. Like obviously the media would much rather. How much times have they talked about Curry already? Like tens, 20s of times, and I think the only people who are talking about the Nuggets are Nuggets fans and
And
people that
us.
actually watch us. Yeah, like he's just so undeniably good that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, his stats are a storyline. A center who's the best
Yeah,
post scorer in the game and averages 10 assists, like those stats are a storyline. And I don't know about you, but it feels like to me, like in the last couple of years, it seems like people have cared less about the regular season. And then
yeah,
last year we see the Lakers, have to face the Suns in the first round. The Heat get a low seed and they face the Bucks in the first round. I don't know
yeah.
about you, but it feels like the regular season feels a little more important to me this year because some of those teams are like, hey, I don't want to get a bad matchup in the first round. Like you mentioned, the Hawks knowing how important home court advantage is.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like the regular season's a little more locked in than it was last year.
I feel like now that there's a lot of young guys, like I feel like there's a lot of young guys on these important teams. That these important teams are trying to push for higher seedings, and obviously the 2 teams that are filled with just old guys, the Lakers and the Nets, they don't care because they're all old guys and they know what it takes to win on the road, right? But the second you have like 1 or 2 important young guys, like a Michael Porter Jr., like a Jordan Poole, right? You want to make sure those guys are as comfortable as possible. Because yeah, you could talk to them, a Curry or a Jokic could talk to them and try to help them, but everyone knows home court advantage is for those young guys, and you want to get them in the best spot possible. So teams with young guys that are really important, they're definitely going to be making pushes to help that. And even though when I just said that like the Atlanta Hawks, they want home court, they still made the conference finals without home court ever. So you got to give them credit where credit's due. Like no home court took the whole playoffs, and they were what 2 games away from making the finals. Like that, their team was crazy. Had a historic Cinderella run. Now they're proving that it wasn't a Cinderella run, and they're actually that good.
But even like, yeah, I agree. Even like, you could make an argument that the Lakers, if they got a better matchup in the first round last year and they were able to win like kind of relatively
Yeah,
easily, and then Davis and LeBron get back healthy, you could make an argument they make a run to the finals. So do
yeah,
you think a team like the Lakers, which is a bunch of veterans, is going to be more locked into the regular season, trying to get a high seed so they can avoid that stress? Because they were in the play-in.
yeah,
Like they don't want to be there again, I don't think.
yeah. I feel like everyone wants to avoid the play-in, so like 6 seed is what they want to push for. But I'm saying like 6 versus 4, they don't really care. It's just because they're old. They're like really old, so they honestly would rather just rest like a couple games, get those like workload off, get as much as your ankle healed or your like thigh healed or your knee healed or your shoulder healed, which they're gonna have a lot of those injuries. Would get as much of those healed so that come playoffs, they're all fully healthy and they can make a run together. Because even right now, they have like 3 injuries. Like uh Trevor Ariza's hurt.
Yeah. Kendrick
Talon Horton
Nunn.
Tucker's hurt. Kendrick Nunn's not fully healthy. And even someone like Wayne Ellington's not fully healthy and just got cleared like right before the game. So yeah, they're not even healthy game 2 of the NBA season, right? So they're always gonna be dealing with injuries. And they're just trying to mitigate that as much as possible. And for the Nets, I think once this Kyrie situation gets it solved and he comes back to the team, it's just gonna be like we're champions if we can stay healthy, right? I feel like they had that kind of swag around them last year too. That's why they're like, all right, Harden, don't play the rest of the regular season. KD, don't play the rest of the regular season. And then, it just got unlucky that Kyrie, who was so good during the regular season, so healthy, like, doing all his thing, bringing that team back, got hurt and cost them the championship. But yeah, those 2 teams have so much talent that it's just like, and they're so old, where it's like, all right, let's just wait playoffs.
Yeah, no, I agree. As much as I want to overreact and say, "Oh, Westbrook's washed up, the Lakers don't fit together," Lakers they're going to be a playing team again. This team is going to take a few weeks to
Yeah,
fit together. I think like when you get a guy who's as ball dominant and as aggressive as Westbrook and puts up triple doubles every game, and then you put him with LeBron who's the same, and then Davis who can get 30 if he tried. It's going to take some time to figure that out, especially when they're not the greatest. Those 3 guys are not the greatest 3-point shooters in
shooters.
the
Yeah,
league. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take Frank Vogel like figure out the rotations, who to put around those guys. He started Kent Bazemore yesterday
yeah,
against the Suns. I don't know how long that's going to last, but yeah, it's going to take some time. I still think they're going to be a top 3 seed in the West, if not top 2, if not top 1. But I didn't expect to see amazing results right away.
yeah. And someone they signed like a day before the season is playing like 20 minutes a game, Avery Bradley, right? He played 21 minutes, and the starter Kent Bazemore played 23 minutes. DeAndre Jordan started play 10 minutes, but Melo uh, played 25 minutes and scored 16 and 5. Malik Monk is only getting 17 minutes. I think that's going to increase because he was a 40% shooter last season. I know he's not shooting the greatest right now, but he has potential to shoot better and better. Dwight Howard's little altercation only got him 9 minutes, but he's probably going to get more minutes than a DeAndre Jordan because DeAndre Jordan looks immobile right now. So, there's going to be a lot of tweaking. Frank Vogel's going to make a lot of changes here and there. And I highly doubt this is the starting lineup in 2 weeks from now. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of changes. I think Malik Monk and Dwight Howard start over DeAndre Jordan and Kent Bazemore. So I think those changes get made. And that's just my personal think. Like, there could be other state changes as well. Like Ellington could get better. It could be hot from the 3. They start him. Maybe Carmelo is just hot from the 3, and they're like, all right, Anthony is too hot to play center. Like Carmelo's too hot to come up the bench. Stuff like that. Stuff we don't know, stuff on the practice and stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting to see. It's just there's gonna be a lot. Like expect this team 500 through 20 games and then go on a huge run like in the middle of the season or like the late end of the season, right? Like that's the type of this team this is. A lot of overreactions, a lot of media buzz because they're gonna be bad. But once that's all over, they're gonna be a top 4 seed and contenders.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, like I don't know how they're going to figure out how to play those three guys together because there's
Yeah,
not an obvious fit, but I do think like when they go to the bench and they have
one of those
Westbrook,
guys on.
and AD, Westbrook and LeBron, then Westbrook can kind of just unleash and do his thing and not worry about fitting into the team. But at least for now, those three together, I think it's going to look a little rough, and we saw that through the first two games. He had a terrible game first game. He had a good fourth quarter yesterday,
Yeah,
and they almost came back. They brought it to within 10 after being down by 35. But yeah, we were all counting Westbrook out in his first half of the season with Houston and his first half of the season with Washington, and then he was an All NBA caliber player for the second half. So I'm not gonna make that same mistake again this year.
yeah. Westbrook's just. I think people have just admit that he's a slow starter. He takes, and by slow starter, I don't mean like his OKC years. I mean these years because he's learning a new yearbook, a new playbook every single year, and he's learning how to play with players every single year. You know, he was playing Scott Brooks' system for the longest time. He's like nice, consistent throughout his whole career. And, you know, Katie leaves, he got some new coaches here and there, whatever, Billy Donovan, stuff like that. But okay, he's learning that playbook. He's being pretty good, very good, good. And then now it's like, all right, you have to learn Harden and the Tony playbook, whatever. You have to learn that. Okay, now you have to go play on the Scott Brooks again, but now you have to learn how to play with Bradley Beal and no NBA players, like kind of. And then all right, now you left there. Now you have to play with LeBron and Anthony Davis on the Frank Vogel's playbook, where there's less shooting, right? So like he's just learning, he's adjusting, and he has shown the last two stints that give him half a season and he'll learn it and be an all NBA level guy.
Yeah, he's gonna figure it out. I'm not worried about that at all. Is there any other teams that we need to cover that had notable games? I guess the Pacers.
Yeah,
Their Pacers big three went off yesterday. They lost by one, but Miles Turner put up a 40 and 10. Sabonis put up a near 30-point triple double. Brogdon the same thing, and they did this kind of similar things in the first game too.
yeah.
Anything to take away from them losing the first two games,
It was both by
despite these
one.
performances?
Yeah, it was both by 1 point. Chris Durante looks like an amazing rookie,
Yeah,
Canadian too, so I'm happy about that.
yeah.
It just sucks that I'm risking him in fantasy, but it is what it is. He's playing amazing. Uh, TJ McConnell is doing solid off the bench for them. They're just missing. They're just missing like a little bit of punch in their like lineup because right now it's just big three. What can you do? But it's not like the Heatles, right? They're playing like the Heatles, where it's like this is the big three. This you guys have to do everything. But it's not LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, right? So once they get TJ Warren or Levert, like once they get one of those two back, they're going to be so massively improved and going to make big pushes up the standing. And once they get both of them back, they're going to look like a real scary team to play if they get everything sorted out, like chemistry issues wise, because having five guys that can score 20 might lead chemistry issues. But if they can, they can look like a scary team to play. And yeah, they're just going to, right now, just enjoy the big three, enjoy the big games. They could be 2-0 if one shot gets made, right? So don't stress about it too much. And they have a good game against the Heat today. That's going to be a very fun game to watch. Kyle Lowry really didn't get to show who he was because he kind of got that little like ankle scare like in the early on the first game. And then he kind of got clotheslined by the other Antetokounmpo. Very hard foul. Should have definitely been a flagrant. But yeah, he didn't get to show who he was, but it didn't matter because Bam and Butler were amazing and they did amazing and they just beat the like crazy out of the Bucks team that was shorthanded because they didn't have Drew and Brook Lopez and Dante DiVincenzo, but the Heat team looked amazing out of game one and excited to see what Lowry could do game two.
Yeah, it was a blowout, and with those little minor injury scares, he didn't get a chance to show
Yeah.
what he can do. 5 points, but he's against, is that today? They play the Pacers
Today, yeah.
today, Saturday night. Yeah, that's going to be a great game. The Heat big three against the Pacers big three. I'm expecting, the same old Kyle Lowry. I'm really excited to see what he does with Bam because Bam's the best big man he's worked with since ever. Like,
Yeah, Bam's better than Jonas Valanciunas. He's better than the Marcus Hall that was there for a championship run. That Marcus Hall was really good
he was really
defensively.
good defensively.
Yeah, so it's a toss up between championship Mark and this current Bam.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's potentially the best big he's ever played with.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Any other things to overreact to? The Celtics are 0-2, but I don't really think there's too many takeaways from there. Utah is 2-0 like we expected. John Morant, unbelievable opening season game.
Yeah. Yeah, not really much to take away that the LaMelo Ball might be
Oh.
might be an NBA superstar.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
he had a crazy game one. Game two was all right, 17-6-3, but they came out with the dub. And Miles Bridges was going off, so
Yeah,
he let him go off. Gordon Hayward had a solid game too. Oubre had a solid game with their 25. So the Hornets are looking like a really solid team that doesn't need a crazy center to win, but also give credit where credit's due. Plumlee has been pretty good.
yeah,
14 boards in the second game, so big improvement from Bismack Biyombo.
yeah. And I guess speaking of LaMelo Ball, how about Lonzo Ball? Last night putting up 17, 10, and 10, triple double. The Bulls are 2-0. DeMar DeRozan with 26, Levine with 32, Vucevic only had 10, but 5 assists. Patrick Williams playing that good defense. The Bulls have been looking pretty good through two
Yeah,
games, in my
they're
opinion.
looking.
I mean, now they haven't played the strongest of competition. The
Yeah, that's
Pelicans
what I'm saying.
without Zion, and then game one was against who was it against? It was the Detroit Pistons without Cade. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Offensively, they're still looking pretty exciting.
yeah, they're looking pretty exciting, but they also have won against two of the easier teams. And today, I think they versus the Pistons again without Cade.
Oh, really?
So that should be a win. Hopefully, they don't mess that up. But
Yeah,
other than that, the real next matchup is probably against the Raptors on Monday. So that's going to be a good game
that's
to
gonna be a
watch.
good game. DeMar DeRozan, is that back in Toronto?
Yeah, back in Toronto.
Back in Toronto, DeMar DeRozan. All right, that's gonna be a good game. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers it. We talked about all the exciting games from this past week of basketball. It's so good to have basketball back. We'll be back next week talking more basketball. Hopefully, some more Scotty Barnes 25-point games, more Raptors wins, maybe some more Steph 45-point games, LaMelo
Yeah.
triple doubles. I don't know. Just so excited basketball's back. Thank you all for listening to this episode. We'll be back next week like we always are. In the meantime, check us out on Instagram at Stress the Floor Podcast. Subscribe to STF Clips on YouTube for all the best clips from the podcast. But most importantly, subscribe to the podcast feed, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get them. Leave a 5-star rating and review because it all really helps. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next week.